Hey guys, welcome back to Detroit Garage. We're just finishing up the head on the 253, so putting the jumper lines on, some fuel fittings. I took the liberty of putting the thermostat on and the rear covers for the head. So we're just going to torque up the jumper lines. I've torqued these towers down to 55, and this is a little tool that Snap-on made for this. Some guys don't know that you can torque these lines down. So they get torqued to 160 inch-pounds. And we'll do that now and get started, shall we? So there's only 70 pounds going through this, so it's not huge pressure. But nonetheless, you should have them torqued to the correct value. And that way you don't have to worry about leaks. The problem with these engines is if you get a fuel leak, you can't see it, because the injectors and the lines are under the valve cover. Okay, that's torqued down. So we're just going to put the rack on and or the throttle tube on and get all that sorted. So when you're putting the throttle tube down, you want to just make sure that the throttle tube moves nice and freely. You don't want it binding up. So you want all the fingers on the injectors, the racks, to move like that, nice and free. Okay, I'll get the torque for this. I forget what that was. I hate snapping bolts. Jesus. So these are 10 to 12 foot-pounds. There, one last check. Nice and free. Very nice. Put the exhaust manifold on now. Torque down the exhaust manifold bolts. Get torqued down to 35 foot-pounds, 30 to 35. and they say work from the middle out. The biggest thing is just don't break the ears off the exhaust manifold. There. All right, guys, it's ready to put the governor on now. Put the governor rod in, control rod, and I found some bolts for this. So these, I have to get one more for that. All right, let's get the governor on. I forgot to pull the springs out of it to put the governor rod in, so don't forget to do that. Okay, there's the empty governor, and we'll tighten it up and then put the spring and everything back in. So the back bolt on the governor is the hardest one. Well, it's not the hardest one. It's a small 3/8 head, 12-point head. So the one in the back is similar to this. Well, they all should. All three should be this, like this, but fine thread. And I don't have all three. I have one of the three that are the small one in the back. One, two, three, four, the 5 bolts. So all 5 get torqued to 35, and then these get torqued to 10 to 12 foot-pounds. So I thought I had some Oetiker clamps like these to put here, but I don't, so I'll have to go get some nice hose clamps for those. This is a single weight variable speed governor, and we're going to run it on this application and see how I like it for the forklift. I don't know if they used the VS governors on the forklift or they used the limited speed governors. But for this application, I think the VS would work really nice. So we're going to give that a go and see. And I got to find the clip for that. I'll go get one off another governor. So torque these to 10, 12 foot-pounds as well. Okay, found a buffer screw and that clip for the control rod, and also the spring. So we'll put the lid down on that, and that's the governor done for now. And we'll come back and do we'll come back to that again when we do the tune-up. Well, we're getting closer, guys. I've cobbled together a fuel system and hooked up this old radiator. I haven't prepped the big radiator yet. I'll have to clean that out, whatnot, and get it ready. So in the meantime, I'll just use the little guy to start it up. But anyway, we got a fuel pump on. The governor's all attached. So we'll go through the tune-up procedure. I'll do the one cylinder first and then run through the second one for you. The firing order on the 253 is just 1, 2, very simple. So the injectors I'm going to set at 1.46 inches, and the 2-valve head is 11 thousandths for the clearance. So we'll do that. We'll run the rack. We'll set the governor gap on the VS governor, and that should be it. Put some oil in it and we can start it up. So everything's kind of ready to go. So I set the exhaust valve clearance and the injector height on cylinder number 1, and now we'll do cylinder number 2. So all we're going to do is rotate it over until we get compression, until we get full depression on the injector, and then that means that the valves are fully closed. See that? Okay, we'll back it off a little bit. There. So for the 2-valve head on the 253, it's 11 thousandths. So that's a little too tight, so we're just going to loosen off all the adjustments. There we go. There, that's pretty nice. So to adjust them, you'll need a 1/2 inch and a 5/16. In my other videos, I go more into depth about setting the valves. If you want to check that out, there's lots of references. All right, that's perfect. Okay, they're both snugged up. Now we'll adjust the injector height. So again, rotate the engine over until the valves are fully depressed. There we go. I went a bit too far. There we go, perfect. Okay, and now we can set the injector height. And we're going to set it at 1.46. All right. Okay, that's it. We'll lock that down. And that's done. So for detailed instructions on how to do this, it's in chapter 14 of your manual. And it explains all this step by step. So we got N45s in here, and the injector height is 1.46, standard camshaft timing. So what we're going to do next is run the rack. I've already done that, so I put the shutoff to full run. I put the shutoff to run, and I put the governor on full fuel. All right, so we'll just use bungee cords for that. And this is a VS, single weight VS governor, different from my double weight LS governor. Similar procedure. So all we do is we loosen these fingers off, and then we take and adjust. We adjust this rack here until we get it to spring back. If it'll spring back on me. See how it springs back? So you tighten it up with this screw and you lock it with that screw. And the same with this. You want the ears to come back. Oh, this one's making a liar out of me. Well, you can see it popping up. Now that's full fuel. What we want to make sure is that we're going to be able to shut the engine off. But I'll maybe have to make adjustments to make sure that the engine shuts off. So we're going to unhook this. We're going to take the cover off, and we're going to set the governor gap now. So now we're going to set the governor gap on this. It's a little different than the limited speed governors, but the principle is the same, basically. So we put full fuel on it, and then we check the gap between here and here. There's a picture of it. And it should be 6 thousandths. Okay, so put full fuel on it, and we put a 6,000 feeler in here, and it just fits. All right, you can see the gap moving back and forth as the governor demands more fuel or less fuel from the weights. All right, so we backed off our buffer to do that by half, 5/8, so nothing's touching the buffer. And that's all there is to that. I get a lot of questions on the governor. Super simple system. This is the fuel shutoff. You could see. Maybe this one's for you, Kelvin. The fuel shutoff here controls your rack. And this is in idle position. So throttle's at idle. So you go to full fuel. And when you start the engine up, in the run position, the rack's going to be at full fuel, like it is now. But as soon as the weights spin up, it's going to bring these back. All right. To set the no load max RPM, we'll need to shim this. I don't know what this is set at now, but we'll do that later once I get the engine on the dyno. So we'll set the max no load speed. And that's it. We've done the tune-up, we set the rack, we set the injectors. And now it's ready to start. I've got to hook up some electrics to it, put some water in it, oil in it, and she's ready to go. So the tune-up's finished. So now we're going to put some oil in it, some coolant in it, and do a start video. And the oil of choice today is Rotella T1 40 weight. Get everything lubed up nice. All right. This is perfect. It's right at the full mark with 8 quarts. So I'm going to fill it right up, and then that's exactly 8 quarts. And once it's started, the filter will take a quart. So the capacity is probably around 9 quarts or so of the whole system. Well, there you have it, guys. That's the 253 ready, all finished and ready to put outside and start. Again, thanks a lot for checking in, and we'll catch you on the next video. So the next video on this is the start video. So we'll do that today. Again, thanks a lot, and take care.